So I wonder if when you walk into here, they say, "Welcome to the Hotel California." You can check in, but you can never leave. Hello everyone, welcome to Discover This. How many of you remember the pop festivals from the late 60s? Maybe you remember Woodstock. How about the Monterey Pop Festival, or Altamont, which didn't end so well. There were dozens of pop festivals all throughout California, in Texas, Michigan, Illinois, Florida, the Carolinas, all up and down the East Coast. Well, Palm Springs was no different. In 1968 and 1969, there was the Palm Springs Pop Festival. So today we're going to go visit the sites they were held at, talk about the bands that played, and the bad things that happened. So April 9, 1968, the Palm Springs Pop Festival was held here, what used to be the Sun Air Drive-In in Cathedral City, so just across the city line from Palm Springs. And that building where the 7-Eleven is now, I'll show you on an aerial photo in a minute where that building was. This is Perez Road and Highway 111, or East Palm Canyon, same thing. Perez Road wasn't there at the time. Right in the middle of the intersection at Perez Road over there would have been basically the snack bar and the administration building, offices and things. And then the big screen and the marquee would have been down here past this Cathedral City Auto Center marquee, down kind of where those palm trees are. But all along in here would have been the drive-in itself. So on that day, for $2.50, you could have seen Eric Burdon and the Animals, or the New Animals, his new version of the Animals, Blue Cheer, Sweetwater, and some others, a psychedelic light show and some different things. But basically right here where this Tesla dealership is, and all along in here, the Honda place, Toyota in the back there, this was all where the cars would park to watch the movie, and the screen would be behind this Honda building. Now this particular show, Pop Festival, went off without a hitch. No real issues. I think there was between 3,000 and 5,000 people. So not a huge crowd, but that's what they expected. You know, so, and Eric Burdon basically was playing in his backyard. He was a resident of Palm Springs, he lived out this way for many years. Palm Springs, I think Rancho Mirage, Palm Desert, La Quinta, but he spent a lot of years living up in Joshua Tree, up in the high desert. So this was a kind of a hometown show for him at that point. So the 1969 Palm Springs Pop Festival was a two-day event. April 1st and 2nd, 1969. Now April 1st, the Palm Springs Pop Festival was held here at what once was the Palm Springs Drive-In. Not the same drive-in we were just at with the 1968 version, the Sun Air Drive-In in Cathedral City. This is the Palm Springs Drive-In. That road over there's Ramon Road. But this was the Palm Springs Drive-In. And on that particular night, well, the headliners, as you can see in the ad, the headliners were Jeff Beck and Moby Grape. However, they didn't appear. The rumor is the Jeff Beck group was in LA earlier in the week, and Rod Stewart and Jeff Beck got into it and the band broke up. So that's why they didn't make the Palm Springs show, supposedly. Moby Grape, I don't know. But in their place, the promoters brought out Procol Harum and the Flying Burrito Brothers, which, as you know, Graham Parsons was familiar with this area, especially the high desert. But they also had the Paul Butterfield Blues Band and Timothy Leary. What's a show without Timothy Leary? And then also, hometown guy Eric Burdon made an unannounced appearance at night one of the Palm Springs Pop Festival, 1969. But this was the Palm Springs Drive-In back in 1969 anyway. Now the only issue they really had was so many people came. People came from LA and San Diego. So many people came, they started crashing the gates. And they tore the gates down and basically got in for free. A lot of people did. So they didn't have enough security to stop all that nonsense. So that was really the only major issue on night one, was gate crashers. So now day two, so April 2nd, 1969, was held here at the Palm Springs Stadium, baseball stadium. And day two was the problem day. So because of the fact that there had been gate crashers the night before, they upped the security and had more police come in. And they basically put up a perimeter around the stadium and kept the gate crashers away, which upset the gate crashers. Now keep in mind, the other issue with this weekend of this pop festival was the fact that this was spring break. So lots of people came to Palm Springs for spring break. And also what the press and the city folks called the Hippie Mob showed up, and they're the ones that caused a lot of problems, the old Hippie Mob. But the headliners for day two were Ike and Tina Turner, Canned Heat, and I think Savoy Brown. So another pretty good lineup. And they had sold quite a few tickets to this one too. So people with tickets got in, the gate crashers were kept out. The other thing the city did for day two is they capped the attendance at 3,500. So once they reached that 3,500, that was it, no more. So there was a lot of people loitering around outside the stadium here. Now the estimates were, between the spring breakers and the old hippie mob, there were about 12,000 extra people in town just for the weekend, for whatever they were here for. So once the folks saw that they weren't going to be able to gate crash on this second day, they started throwing objects at the police and the security around the stadium here. And obviously that riled everybody up. So more police came in, and they started pushing the crowd that did not have tickets. They started pushing the crowd away from the stadium facility here. And the idea was to push them a little farther east, back towards where the drive-in theater was that we were just at. Now, that didn't work out too well. Some people went that way. Some people went straight down Burrito, which is the street right up here, and went straight into town, which Indian Canyon and Palm Canyon are only a couple blocks west of here. And that's where all the, the restaurants and hotels and businesses and things like that are along Indian Canyon and Palm Canyon for the most part. But then another big group splintered off and actually went south down to the intersection of Sunrise and Ramon, which Sunrise is where those cars are right there. And that's where more problems started. So part of the crowd came this way through the park. Stadium's right back there, and came through the park this way and headed basically south on Sunrise, which is this street right here. Now, the police obviously already felt they were overwhelmed with the crowd trying to push back and starting to throw things and whatnot, so they called for mutual aid. So there was law enforcement agencies coming from as far away as Los Angeles and San Diego to come up here to help with the issues they were having, not to mention agencies that are around this area, Riverside County Sheriff and some of the smaller city police departments. So as we're coming down to Ramon Road, the crowd's getting more riled up. They're still throwing things. Police cars were getting damaged. The crowd that started going west, more into town, Indian Canyon, Palm Canyon area, they were vandalizing businesses. They were breaking windows, spray painting things. There was a fire station got heavily vandalized. But that stoplight you can see down there in the distance, that's Ramon Road. And on the corner of Ramon Road and Sunrise, at that time, where this Mario's Italian Cafe is, this was a Shell gas station, or it was a gas station at the time in 1969. And the crowd started coming up to the gas station. Police formed what perimeter they could. The owner of the gas station was there. He came out and he had a shotgun. And the crowd kept advancing. The police were trying to push him back. It wasn't working. And some people broke free and started charging the police and the gas station owner. And so the gas station owner fired a shot. He hit a 16-year-old boy and grazed a woman. The 16-year-old boy, depending on which articles you read, some of them say he died, some of them say he was injured, but he was transferred to a hospital out of this area. From everything that I've read, the boy did not die. But he was severely hurt that day. So this ended up being like a major rock throwing incident and all that kind of stuff. So the police ended up using tear gas here at this intersection to break up the crowd. So at that time, according to the police reports and whatnot, there was approximately 100 people in this gas station parking lot, which would have been right here at this corner. So that just continued the problems that they were having. And again, mutual aid was coming from basically all over Southern California. But in addition to the incident you were having here, where 2 people were shot, you still had the incidents going on just a couple blocks west of here in, you know, the business and restaurant district that were also being vandalized and looted and things like that. Okie dokie. So many of the attendees that weekend took to camping, and most of that was illegal camping. Various places around town, but about 2,500 of them ended up here in Tequit's Canyon, where Tequit's Falls is. Now this is Indian reservation land, and the Native Americans weren't too happy that there was all those people illegally camping on their land. But they were kind of overwhelmed that particular weekend. Now, the police and sheriff's department did have to come in a couple times and rescue a couple people that had fallen down the rocks and things like that. But at the end of the weekend, the Native Americans that control this land asked law enforcement to come in and help them clear out the land. So they did, and they basically got rid of all 2,500 people that were in here. And what they found in the end was they had graffitied rocks up there in the canyon. They had left trash, just mounds and mounds of trash. They had used this area as their personal restroom. They had started fires, you know, for campfires. They basically trashed the place. And because of that, they ended up closing these lands for a number of years, quite a long time actually. And there was some discussion amongst the tribal elders about whether they would even open this back up to the public ever again. And they did finally decide to open it up, but they built this visitor center that you can see right over there. So now you come in and you pay a fee to go hiking in these canyons, which is fine, as opposed to the way it was. So just another bad element, also blamed on the old hippies for the most part. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of news, a lot of press, a lot of headlines about all the violence and the things that happen during these Palm Springs pop festivals, at least the 1969 year. According to the reports, there were about 250 people arrested, and there were about 148 treated at local hospitals for injuries and also drug overdoses. Those damn hippies. So because of all the issues that they had here at the, especially the second day, April 2nd, 1969, the city of Palm Springs decided to ban outdoor concerts for 10 years. Now, I did find that there was a concert by War in 1976 here at the Palm Springs baseball stadium, which is where the pop festival was. So they didn't quite make it 10 years, I guess, because I know that show happened. So they didn't quite make it 10 years, but they did ban it for a number of years prior to allowing that one. So with that, thank you for watching. If you're so inclined, please consider subscribing to this channel, and we will see you next time on Discover This.